All right, welcome to this assignment 3 walkthrough. And this assignment is very interesting and you'll enjoy while working on it. In this assignment, you have to define a class called BigNum. And as the name suggests, that this class should be able to hold very large numbers. So let's see how you will do that. So the assignment document does not have uh, much of the explanation. So let's directly jump onto the bignum.h file, which is provided to you. All right, here you go. So let's see what do we have here. So let's just look at the private section which contains the data, and so this is a pointer to character, and the variable name is digits. So basically we're talking about a dynamic array of digits because a number is composed of various digits, and we'll visualize this problem or tackle this problem or solve this problem using an array, and that array should be dynamic. We have discussed what is the advantage of dynamic over static arrays. So if we have a static array, so that would be an overkill, or maybe uh, if we need to store a larger number, then we won't be having enough space. So we know what's an advantage of a dynamic array. So we're using a dynamic array of characters. So the reason for keeping this as character is because we just need to store one digit in one element of the array. So one box of that array amongst those multiple boxes. So one box will be a single digit. So 0 through 9, that are the digits. 0 to 9 are digits. So one element of an array would basically represent a single digit. So for example, if we want to store a 10-digit number, so we'll create a dynamic array of 10 elements, and each element would be a separate digit. So you'll use this dynamic array called digits. Alright, so we have this default constructor. This should create a 10-digit number, and that 10-digit number should be a 10-digit 0. So you should initialize each of these digits with 0. So that's self-explanatory. So then we have the destructor, which should deallocate this, and we have this clear method with us. So which is a private method. So in this clear method, we'll be deleting this. The reason for making this a separate function is because this same functionality of deleting a dynamic array would be used in the input methods, because if a number is already created, so we'll need to delete that number first and then create it. So we'll use clear in input function as well, because input means that if you are calling an input function on an object of BigNum, this means that we have already created the dynamic array. So we have to delete that previously created dynamic array and create a new one for our input. Anyways, so then these are the constructors and assignment operators. We've discussed this already. So let's move forward. Then we have these two functions. The name implies one is for input and the print. A hint for this is you should input it as a string. Input a string and then convert that string into a dynamic array of characters. So we have discussed string class in the lab. All right. Then we have the print function, which should simply print out the array, the dynamic array as a single number. Then you have a function called input from file. So you'll give the file name as an argument, and the number would be in the file, and that file will contain a single number. So you'll clear the current number and read the file and set that number which is given in the file as your own number. For example, let's look at this input 20. This is a sample file. This is a 20-digit number. So you'll read this file and create a dynamic array of size 20, and then copy these into that. But note this, that you won't know that what is the size of this number. So you have to input this as a string and then find out the size of the string and create the dynamic array equal to the size of the string. Similarly, input 100 digit number, and so on. So the file name does not, the file name can be anything. So it's nothing meaningful. Alright, so similarly, print a file, we can print a number, a big num into a file. Similarly, we have a copy function, pretty much similar to copy constructor, and it might be used. We can simply use this in the copy constructor. You can call this in the copy constructor. This simply copies the argument into the own object. So then 05. 05 is the default operation that we did in the constructor, and it creates a 10-digit number whose value should be 0. So again, you'll be clearing the number, you'll be calling clear in 05 also, because you'll be dynamically deleting the array and then creating a 10-digit number from the scratch. Similarly, increment means add 1 to that number. You will have to consider the carry logic and everything. Similarly, decrement, you have to do the borrow logic, and to start with this increment and decrement function. If you're able to make or define increment and decrement, then you can easily use them in add and subtract. So think about this. Similarly, we have these 4 functions: less than, greater than, a current number is less than an argument, or greater than or not. So these are the few functions, and we have the key common operations that we perform on integers or numbers. So add, subtract, and multiply. Multiply might be a bit difficult, but try to do that in the end. So start with add and subtract, and start with increment, decrement, then add and subtract, and then multiply in the end. And we have 2 bonus functions also, div and mod. So assuming these big nums are integers, so you can perform big div and mod on these as well. So that's about it. And so if you have any questions, you should drop by in the office hours, get a candy, and you can ask any question regarding this assignment on Google Hangouts, hoop@dsu. So best of luck, and try to start this as soon as possible, and try to get into the Hall of Fame. Goodbye.